Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card Dad. It's another 20 minutes with, and we've got world famous Chasing Cardboard star Ty Wilson. Hopefully I'm not building you up too much there, Ty.
Yeah,
he's back on. We've got a few topics to hit on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? I like the new mic.
I'm doing good. Yeah, I tell everybody this because I want to just talk trash about him, but Neo Cards and Comics, one of my hobby buddies, he has the same mic, and I was like, hey, can you send me the link, to the mic that you're using, Amazon, whatever, like, so I can order this thing? Because it's like, I got to get a better, I can't use like my MacBook mic anymore. Like, I need to have a mic. And so Agreed. He sends me the link, and then I get it, and he's like, no, yeah, that's actually like the one level down. Like, I have like the premier version of that mic. I'm like, you're such an ass, like, of course you gave me like the one level down, but whatever, it's fine. It's better than this thing. It's better than the laptop.
Just get the Shure SM58. It's the gold standard. Musicians use it. Okay. Podcasters need to use it, but you got to get a nice, you got to get a soundboard. But anyway, we don't.
You know what I did do? Yeah, you guys are you guys have all the production stuff. I did get I did some research. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but I got a shotgun mic that goes above my iPad, or not my iPad, but my iPhone for my regular videos. And it was $200. So for me, that's crazy money, for a mic, $200. But yeah, so that I've noticed a little bit of a difference there. I did some research on it, and I can't remember the brand. But it's basically like, they have a $100 mic. They have a $200 mic, which is the one I bought. They have an $800 one, and then they have like a $1,200 shotgun mic, which they said you could literally use for like Netflix documentaries. So I'm like, I don't know if I need the $1,200 mic. But
probably don't need that. Well, when you're ready to get a new camera, because I'm tired of seeing your fuzzy face in that camera, you let me know, and I'll help you get the right camera.
I know, I'm always I'm about to get a new MacBook, and I'm always hoping that Apple will just get like the next gen, amazing camera on the Mac. They haven't quite done it yet though. So yeah, if I get this next Mac and it's just the same deal, then I'm calling you and we'll figure out the camera situation.
Done
so
deal.
you can see all the lines on my face.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so I think we would be remiss if we didn't hit on the biggest news over the last couple of weeks in the hobby, just to kind of kick this thing off. And it is a piece of cardboard sold for $12.9 million. And it wasn't a vintage card, which I think is kind of a shock to a lot of people. First question, how do you react to this? Did you have a big reaction, small reaction? And then also, how close was your buying group to securing this card?
We were a few decimals off, a few commas off. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not surprised by anything at this point. I mean, the hobby's grown so much. You got so much awareness from basically every side of the hobby. Kevin O'Leary, Shark Tank guy, part of that buying group. I think net, it's a positive thing for the hobby. Any exposure we get to the hobby, especially for a card like that, where it's like, it's a unique card. Is it worth that much money? Probably not, in my opinion, but I think it's a net positive for the hobby.
Do you have any sort of conspiracy theory around like it just barely beat the record, and then it's kind of like, did they have, I don't know, it just seems kind of amazing that it just creeped by the record, you know, and I'm not saying that there wasn't other buyers. Look, just looking at a lot of the big buyers in Asia, especially, that I know that there had to have been Asian buyers that were trying to get that card. Yeah. I'm not shocked that it did go that high. I did call that about 4 or 5 months ago, but that was just kind of me trying to have a hot take, and it happened to be right. But it did kind of just squeak by the record. I thought that was interesting.
Very interesting. I mean, look, you start meeting these guys that have a higher net worth than usual. There's a lot of pride. Right. They have a lot of pride, a lot of swagger. And for them to say, hey, we have the most valuable card. I mean, it's the same thing with the Honus Wagner forever, right? They just kept topping each other for years just because they wanted to say they had the most valuable card. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I think there's probably a lot of truth to it.
All right. Well, you heard it here. Ty thinks there's something going on behind the scenes. Just kidding. All right. Let's flip over to the National. I got to hang out with you for a few minutes at the National, but it's always like a wedding where you see people for like 5 minutes and then you have to kind of move on. You get to catch up. How was your overall experience? I remember you saying something to the effect of like, hey, we had a game plan coming in and we had to kind of call an audible based on all the things going on. How did it go for you guys?
It was great. I mean, for those that follow Chasing Cardboard, you know that we don't do a lot of shows. I do them personally with the kids and stuff locally. We'll go set up at shows, but we don't record a lot at shows. But we felt like we reached a point over the last couple of years where we need to be a part of these larger conventions, and you can't beat the national, right? So we went with the intention of we'll set up a little bit at the Awesome Card Shop. Marcel's great. He let us set up some of our cards there, but more importantly, we were just there to mingle with the audience, shake hands, meet people, hand out some free hats. And so I think from that perspective, it exceeded all expectations. Our MO is going into houses to meeting people like in their spot, not necessarily going to these kind of high octane conventions, but it was necessary and we loved every second of it.
Did you have any, I guess, meetings set up with people like that had kind of unique collections to then go and film with, and maybe did you have meetings set up, or did they just pop up, where you had somebody walk up and was like, hey, I'm interested. And then I guess my other question on the back of that questions, because it's always 3 questions in one, is, what's the backlog like for people, for shows like that? Do you have literally like 30 spots you could hit, or are you down to like a handful and you're making decisions? How does that go when you're trying to figure out the schedule?
Yeah, a lot of questions there. So one, we didn't go with really any collections in mind. We had a couple kind of floating around Chicago where Matt's like, hey, if this pops off and we need to bust out there on Friday to go see this, let's go do it and get an actual episode out. But it didn't pan out. We're vetting them out a lot tighter than we normally do, just from learning. But we did walk out with a few leads like, hey, I know a guy who knows a guy. Can I pass your information along? He might be wanting to sell. So that helps, and we'll see if those pan out. But I think from like backlog standpoint, we already have 9 more episodes recorded. So we have basically through the end of the year recorded. So we recorded all those over the last couple of months. We are 3 or 4 months out. And so we've been able to be a lot more selective than usual. So I think that's a good thing. But yeah, we're always like, hey, if we're going to go to Greenville, South Carolina, we need a couple prospective collections within a 3-hour radius for us to justify the cost of travel now, because we're $5,000 to $7,000 per episode in just raw cost. So we got to make sure we can minimize our expenses.
Yeah, that's no joke. Do you have, okay, so with that being said, that's really interesting, just about you basically have the rest of the year planned out as far as talk about batching episodes. You guys have really done a good job there. So I know you also have a reselling channel. Do you then, if you kind of have those things done, do you focus energy more on kind of the reselling channel, or do you have other channels that you think about doing, or does the rest of the time just go to like buying, selling, like handling the actual business of the cards?
Yeah. So I hired somebody named Johnny. You may have seen it in the Ty Wilson video before. He's actually working over there listing cards right now. That's helped free up a lot of time for me. So he's doing listing and shipping and helping me out. But the Ty Wilson stuff is it's just an outflow of what I'm learning in the real world of reselling. That's really it. I actually didn't think it would gain as much traction as it has recently. So that's been kind of fun to see. I will definitely put more time into it during the selling season, which I would say is like from now until Christmas. But it's just, hey, when something comes up and I think it's a good video, my son will help record it. Jackson will edit it. Kai will work on a thumbnail, another one of my sons. And so we'll just knock it out together and kind of move on. So I don't think too much about that. The batching of the Chasing Cardboard episodes is really important to us. We're going to try to get probably 4 more recorded by the time Thanksgiving hits. And then we'll feel pretty good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that your sons also help too with like the edit, or not the editing, but like the thumbnails and that sort of stuff, or maybe some of the editing. I have my youngest wants to do that as well. So that's part of why I'm looking to get another Mac so that he can use this Mac with the Final Cut Pro on it and just kind of play around with it and learn, because the kids know how to do way more than anybody like my age. So I'm just going to let him and he likes making videos too, but being that he's 10, I'm not, he can't really put videos on YouTube and that sort of thing. He can do YouTube kid stuff, but it's limited, so I was like, look, dude, you can make the videos and then you can kind of play around with the effects and you can learn, and then you can help me out, help your dad out with some of the production type stuff. So that is the plan. That's cool.
Well, I mean this really, like if he has an email address or you want to set up a call with one of my sons and your son, like he could probably give you just a quick, hey, here's what I learned. He's 17, but he would love to help him out. He's helped some other kids locally out with just like the first stage in editing. He'd be happy to do it for you. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So with the sports card boom, let's call it that, are you guys selling? You mentioned just kind of selling season now between, now and then kind of going through the end of the year. is there specific stuff that you're seeing? Like, is it a lot of football because we have football season? Thank God it's here finally. Yeah. Or is it, a combination of that with vintage, or, or is, how does it usually go for you guys? Or are you seeing trends?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no hiding it right now. I mean, we're recording this on September 4th. I mean, the market is on fire. It's not just sports cards, it's Pokemon, it's, TCG, everything in general is just on fire right now. I think there's just a lot of fuel being dumped on the market. And everything is moving. I would say the low to mid end has kind of been stable, maybe slightly up. The mid to high end, like the scarcer stuff, the higher grades, the higher grade vintage, the PSA 10 kabooms, like that stuff is just, I don't mean, it can't keep going this fast. It's growing so fast right now in the market. It's a lot of money coming in. So I'm curious to see how it continues up through basically the week before Christmas, right? I mean, because this is the true selling season for a lot of the sports card market. You got all these sports going, football starting. It's an interesting feeling, man. It's just so hot right now. We were just at a show. The Pokemon world is mind blowing.
Whole different world. Yeah.
Whole different world. That is unsustainable to the max. The sports card stuff seems a lot more healthy this time around, versus, the COVID boom where we knew it was going to crash. This time it's like, okay, there's a lot more strategy going into where the money's going. It's going into stuff that it's going to go into a vault and probably not be seen again. And that goes for anything, $1,000 to $5,000 now. People buying this stuff and just stuffing it away. I think that bodes well for the kind of the sustainability of this growth.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Pokemon. I'm not a Pokemon card collector. My youngest likes Pokemon cards, but I have been buying sealed Pokemon over the last about 10 months, I would say. And it's my best performing stuff. It's just the sealed Pokemon. And I don't have a want to open it. So it's just, you put it away, you forget about it. And it just keeps on kind of doing its thing. And so I'm going to keep on buying some of it. Just kind of every single month I buy a little bit more of that sealed stuff, put it away. And it's just kind of a fun thing to stack. And then, I can track it through, Market Movers or Card Ladder or whatever, and just kind of watch how it's doing. And it's pretty cool, but yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. The singles market is really interesting, as you mentioned, because there's a lot of more volatility in the singles market with Pokemon than there is the sealed market. The sealed market just kind of seems to kind of do its thing. And there's the rip and ship business, which is basically like personal breaks, essentially, has accelerated a ton over the last few years. And that was not something that was a part of the Pokemon world until fairly recently. So if you're a sealed holder, you love the fact that they're just cranking through, packs. They're just opening up all the packs. But anyway, probably a whole nother episode there on Pokemon, but I'm glad to see that you are also kind of in that game and watching it. It's pretty cool.
I am. Yeah. So that's a great idea, by the way, holding sealed Pokemon. My goodness. We came across a sealed Pokemon collection in an episode 3 months ago, and I couldn't believe how fast that stuff flew off the shelf. It was just insane.
Oh yeah.
But we're at this Pokemon card show in Kansas City last week, and the boys had a booth set up, and I'm just kind of running around talking to vendors, asking them about the market. And these guys were showing me stuff that they had bought 2 weeks ago, cards that they had bought 2 weeks ago for $150 with the price tag of $500 on them now, like cards that had tripled in value in 2 weeks. And he's like, we're selling this stuff as fast as we can put it out. And then we're taking all this cash. We're buying everything today in Kansas City, and we're going to Dallas Card Show next week and marking everything up 20% more. I'm like, this is not going to keep going like this. You guys better be really smart with your money.
Yeah. And people wonder, like, man, how come there's 1 million TCG cards that get graded every month over a PSA? And really what it is, if you look at the spreads on Pokemon, the PSA 10, sometimes like the sports card people are like, damn, I got a PSA 10 and I'm getting double what I get for the raw. Maybe it's 2, we're used to it going back in time. It might be 3, 4, 5X if you got a 10. But now it's like you're just doubling. It's like that kind of stinks. Well, Pokemon is like sports cards 5 years ago, in that you can get 3, 4, 5X, or maybe even more if you get a PSA 10 on certain cards. So that's why you're seeing a big push, with grading on the TCG side.
Very true. It's a great point.
All right. So I had a thought when I was thinking about this call coming up. With kind of the boom, as we've talked about, and the rise of repackers and the need for singles and all of that good stuff, and I have to assume just more people buying collections as a whole, Are you having to get more competitive? Like, are you having to pay stronger, for collections nowadays? Like, is competition, has it heightened, or is it kind of more of like, hey, you've got good relationships in place, you get good referrals, or, have you had to adjust to, I guess, just changing market conditions?
Yeah. I mean, look, the reality is, first off, we already pay pretty strong. I mean, regardless of what some people may think, we pay very strong for collections. We always have. We know that we make a little bit of money on the back end with our filming. So we kind of factor that in to make sure we're always taking care of people. I also know that I'm on camera, right? So I'm not going to go undercut somebody and just trash their collection value. But with that said, no doubt, right? I mean, cards go up in value. That means our cost goes up in value. But here's the thing I think most people forget, right? Like most of the unique good collections, maybe not most, a lot of them don't ever walk into a card show, right? Joe over there in random city in Illinois who's trying to unload his collection isn't going to the national or some card show to take it to sell. Right. He's looking for that guy who will come to him, value it correctly, and buy it all and take it out of his house, right? There's very few people that'll do that in the right way. Because it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work. And then not to mention, I mean, we're going with the intention of buying, but more importantly, we're going with the intention of telling their story. So when they get the stamp, drive their stake into the ground and say, wow, not only do I sell my collection, I get to tell my story on this platform. It gives us a lot of leverage, which we're fully aware of that, right? I mean, a lot of people just want to sell to us just because they get to tell their story. So all that to say, Dustin, the pipeline has only grown, right? It's not dried up, and we've been more selective. It'll probably get more competitive over time, and that's totally fine. But we have a unique value proposition, which I think will just it'll allow us to keep kind of cherry picking the right ones for our audience.
I've got to think too, there's probably instances where you might decide that you're not going to do a show around a particular collection, but you're still in contact, that those people reached out to you because of I saw your show, I have this collection. Maybe you say like, hey, I'm sorry, but we're just not going to be able to get out there, but would still love to buy your collection, and so does that happen too, where sometimes maybe it's not the right stuff for a show, but it's still a good, you can still help them out and you can still buy the collection and
totally. No, that's a great point. Yeah. We've probably done that 10 times in the last 3 months and it's not just because we couldn't make it. It's because they've seen a couple of our episodes kind of go viral and blow up, right? We had an episode with Benita. We went to her barn and it's got 500,000 views, and someone sees that and they're like, 500,000 people potentially watching my face and my home and my, I think I'm good. You can take the cards though. I trust you. You can take the cards.
Yeah. I guess they get they actually see how you deal and work. Whereas if they call a random Joe to come and look, they don't know what they look like. They don't know if it's, like, who knows who the hell this person is. And maybe it's a valuable collection. They're like, I don't know if I just want a stranger off Craigslist to come and look at this, So I think that's got to be an advantage that they've just seen, who they're operating with. Yeah, no, that's very true. All right, so we'll wrap up with a content question, and I guess you kind of already answered some of it, just in that you almost have like a backlog at this point where you've got content that's ready to roll out. Is there anything heading into 2026 that you're looking to do a little bit differently? Or adding into the mix as far as chasing cardboard goes, or additional channels or any of that sort of thing?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is probably encouragement for all the content creators out there, right? I mean, like I said, we've got 83 episodes already released. We got, 9 or 10 more in the backlog. So we're at 90 episodes that we've recorded. And some of those we went in and filmed, we didn't release. So we're close to 100 different houses we've been in and like content we put out. You start to learn what works. You start to figure out, okay, what is the algorithm reward? What do you need to do with the way you ask questions? And it just repetition builds expertise. We've figured out the recipe. And I think for us, it's like, okay, now that we know the recipe, go all in and doing what works. Don't try a bunch of like fringe stuff too much. Just focus on your lane and do what works. I think that's always the hard part for content creators. It's like, I don't know what works. How do I create a channel people are going to watch? It's like, well, you got to get the reps, man. Like put the stuff out there. The audience will tell you what's going to work. And once you figure out what's going to work, go all in on it, right? Just do it over and over again. So for us, let's keep doing the things we know are going to work. Maybe tweak a couple things. We're trying to get more graphics. People are saying, hey, show more cards. We're trying to tastefully show more cards, better thumbnails, better intros, all those little things. But for the most part, man, we're just doubling down on the content we know works. And that's going into people's house, telling their good stories, and hopefully having a great negotiation and buying a collection. That's really it.
Yeah, and you guys have kind of cornered that market of content. There's not, I can't think of another group that's doing episodes like that. You know, I guess something that's sort of similar, I guess, is Jeff Wilson does his Slab show where he goes in and he looks at like Marshall Fogel's collection, but he's just there to showcase a collection. He's not there to buy it, you know, so you're not getting kind of that American Picker style or kind of the, you know, the different angle that you guys have added to your show. So yeah, it's unique in that way. And I guess you've probably seen from your view counts and everything, you've got consistency there, and you know, okay, we're putting the time in, we've been doing it for years now, and you've seen the returns on it. So that's perfect. Yeah. Cool, man.
Very cool.
Anything. So yeah, if for anyone watching, if you haven't seen, go to Chasing Cardboard and check out every episode. They drop every like 10 to 14 days is a new episode.
Every other Wednesday through the end of the year is the way.
Every other Wednesday. Yep. Every other Wednesday. Yeah. So that's it. Ty, thank you again for coming on. We've got we'll have another 30 to 45 days, and maybe we'll have another couple of little hobby news nuggets we can throw in. But yeah, thanks again for joining, man.
We'll talk reseller season next time we're together. That'll be fun.
Let's do it. All right.
Thanks for having me on, Dustin.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.